Hey everybody, it's Friday, September 9th, 2022. I'm in Southern California here, San Diego, and we're having a hurricane apparently. Doesn't seem to be too bad. Here's my house. A little bit of rain, which is nice actually, because we've got a severe drought happening here. So no problems here. A little bit of wind, a little bit of rain. No biggie. Stay tuned for the financial economic news. How's everybody doing? It is Friday, September 9th. As I am recording this, I'm putting this out a little bit later in the evening. You may be watching this on September 10th or later. Either way, thank you for being here. Let's talk about the latest news. First of all, the market ended very strong. All major indexes in the green today for the stock market. Dow Jones up 377. Ask yourself this question: who's buying these markets? Do you think it's the average retail investor, or do you think it's corporations? Are they buying back their own stock? Yes, they still are doing that. It's still happening. It hasn't stopped. People have came to the conclusion that that has stopped. No, companies are still buying back their own stock. Companies will buy back their own stock even if the company is being ran into the ground. Even failed companies are seeing CEOs and upper level executives leave with a golden parachute with millions of dollars in profits from both salary and from stocks. Now, there was a meme that was going out on social media, going around rather, that said record profits for companies are unpaid wages, right? We see this with so many, especially with the big companies, how the upper level people make so much more than the front line people. When I say the front line people, I'm talking about the salesperson that you see on the floor at Best Buy. If there is a Best Buy, my Best Buys are closed down in my area, but you know what I mean. The front line people that are interacting with the customers, the divergence between what is paid to the frontline people and the CEOs and the upper level executives has gotten wider and wider over the past few decades. You know, it used to be 10 to 1, became 100 to 1. Some companies it's like 500 to 1. It's ridiculous. But that is corporate America. Some people say that's capitalism. Other people say it's nothing but a big scam, and that the big companies want to dominate just to make it harder for everyone else, right? I can't tell you if this is a planned thing. I can't prove it or disprove it, but I can tell you that that's what some people are saying. And pretty interesting what the Fed is doing within their own ranks. We have Powell out there downplaying the severity of the recession, which some say isn't a recession. There's another thing to talk about. The definition of a recession: we're here, we're there, it's been hit. GDP growth, if you look at it, it's here. Other people, including people in the Fed, saying, no, there's not a recession, look over here. Either way, let's talk about this difference in opinion. And I think some people are doing a CYA because they'll know that people will look back on what they said. If there's a major downturn, when there's a major downturn, and there is a downturn now, we just haven't recognized it yet or seen it yet. But when you know what hits the fan, there's going to be people that are going to want to say, hey, I warned you, I told you this. Jerome Powell is not one of them. He has discounted the fears of a deep recession, but we have the Fed's own economist warning of a, quote, severe recession, right? So we have these institutions that are just contradicting one another within their own institution, right? So they're not on the same page. And I think over the past few years, people have realized that when you say something, people are going to come back to it and they're going to revisit it. And we see, even on this channel, we've replayed Ben Bernanke back in 2007. He said the subprime mortgage crisis was contained, or back then when he was talking about it, it wasn't a crisis. He just said subprime mortgages are contained, no reason to worry. He talked about how sales were strong. Of course, sales were strong because they were giving out loans to anyone with a pulse. Of course, it was acknowledged as being a crisis later on with the housing crisis, the housing bubble going bust. So people now look back and they see what these people, they revisit what these people have said. So people are doing a CYA, in my opinion. I think that's what's going on here. Please let me know down in comments. Next, in our previous report, we talked about shipping rates have dropped. Well, the Baltic Dry Index is down over 80% from the 52-week high that we saw back in October 2021. So almost a year ago, down 82%. And that is because of the drop off in demand for consumer goods. Yes, ships are still coming here from other countries that manufacture most of the stuff that we consume, but a big drop, 80%, that should tell you another thing about what's happening to the state of the U.S. consumer. When people get closer to the edge financially. They pull back on unnecessary spending, discretionary spending, things like entertainment. Yes, you're still going to see people at the shopping centers, at the sports stadiums. People are always going to be spending money, but there's a pullback in certain items. And we see Amazon shutting down warehouses. We see more retailers shutting down. Look at Bed Bath & Beyond. It's happening. It's just not happening as quickly as a lot of people expected, but it definitely is happening. The economic downturn is here, and you may not have even felt it yet. You may be doing better than ever, and I hope you are. I hope most of us here on this channel are doing better than ever. But when you look at the population as a whole, this debt it's record breaking and it's back breaking, because people are not going to be able to keep up with this, especially in a rising rate environment. More rate hikes on the way. What's going to happen? Is it going to be 21, 22, 23%? Can you imagine carrying debt on a credit card at something like 22, 23%, even 19% where it's at now? If you're not paying off that card in full each month, you are headed towards bankruptcy at some point. Maybe we'll see a massive forgiveness program like we see in other areas. We now have the utility bill rescue program. We talked about that just 1 or 2 reports ago, where we have 20 million households behind on their utility payment. We've got millions of people behind on their rent. Car loans started to become late. Housing market coming down. So a lot of things happening at once. But yes, in slow motion, not as fast as quickly. People want to see a crash, right? Which videos do you see the most views on YouTube? Crash. If somebody puts crash in the headline, they're going to get a lot of videos. We see people putting out videos about the housing crash. If you look at the national index, the price index, the median price, it's down less than 1% from the previous month, from August to July, from July to August, whichever way you want to look at it. Less than 1%. I don't call that a crash. Some people are saying it's a crash because it's the biggest decline that we've seen. Sorry about that noise. That was my dryer. It's the biggest decline that we've seen in over 10 years. So it's a significant decline. In just 1 month, to have almost a 1% decline is pretty big, because housing typically moves very slowly when it comes to the sales price. But yes, some people want to see a crash. They want to see prices coming down 20, 30, 40% in just a matter of a few weeks. It's not going to happen that quickly, but we will continue to see corrections in the housing market. Let's just hope the cost of living goes down in other areas so people can survive and not have to become homeless. What's going to happen to these people? I don't know. There's already problems with the existing homeless population. If we see an explosion in homelessness, what are our larger cities here in the U.S. going to look like, right? I mean, it's going to be apocalypse. It's going to look like Mad Max, possibly. We know that where more tents are, tent cities, and homelessness, you see more crime, more danger. That's not good for anyone. So hopefully we'll see some sort of relief here, but I think we're going to have to go through a lot of financial pain, economic pain, before we start to see any relief, or before we start to see any real solutions being implemented. And the people have to feel a lot of pain before they realize what's going to happen or what has happened. And maybe that's what it's going to take to wake people up. A lot of pain and a big shift in our way of life here. And I think the USA is going to look a lot different here as we go down the road here in the years to come. But even from now to the end of the year, I think we're going to see major things happen. We're continuing to see things unfold. Baltic dry index plunging, 80% drop. That's a big drop. And Fed now talking about severe recession, or people within the Fed. Some people saying, nope, everything's going to be okay. We're going to contain this. It's going to be a soft landing. Other people are saying, no, hard landing, severe recession. Who's right? Please let me know down in the comments. That's it for this report, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting this channel. Big love to everybody. Keep stacking, and be careful out there. Be safe, folks. Bye for now.